and welcome to the Moisture Farm podcast. We've got a fun-filled episode for you today. Some spoilers dropped today. We're going to talk about those spoilers. We're going to talk about a little bit of a meta update because, ooh boy, Jango. And then we're going to talk about how we spend some hobby time, hobby money, life dollars, and how you kind of get that hobby life balance. But first, we have an ad read. Yes, you heard right. We've got an ad read. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by none other than Han Solo's chin, the most iconic, unbeatable asset in the galaxy. This card isn't just a smuggler's secret weapon, it's the chin that won the rebellion. You're probably asking yourself, what's so special about this chin? Well, prepare yourself, because it's no ordinary kiss magnet. It's unstoppable. This chin has survived more I can read correctly. This chin has survived more than any other part of Han Solo. Blasters? Pff. Asteroids? No problem. It's charming. Get ready for your opponents to fall under its irresistible sway, as this chin has the advantage of pleasing two Twi'leks at the same time. It's swagger guaranteed. Suddenly, you're the coolest player in the room. If Jabba had a chin like that, he wouldn't need slaves. Special abilities include Jawbreaker, deflects any attack with ease. Smooth Talker, makes your opponent question their entire strategy, sanity, and existence. Get Han Solo's chin and show the galaxy who's in charge. Available now in Star Wars Unlimited. Terms and conditions may apply. Side effects include excessive smolder, swagger, and overconfidence. Han Solo's chin, the chinsation that will leave everyone stroking their own in jealousy. Thank you, Solo's chin, for sponsoring this podcast. Let's get into those spoilers.
Hmm.
Legends of the Force.
Quick
Quick.
thought. I know it's not on the outline, but I thought we were going to give a moment to something else that's not game related.
Ah, yes.
So I think that if we're going to do that, I think that should go first.
Okay, do it.
Okay.
Uh,
Val Kilmer passed yesterday at the age of 65. And goodbye and thank you for all the wonderful movies. My favorite Val Kilmer movie is Willow. Nothing beats Mad Mardigan. Never, ever in the world is anything more delicious and more delightful. And Willow is just amazing. The whole thing is beautiful and amazing. And that is my favorite Val Kilmer movie.
How about you, Tandon?
PJ, do you have a... I was going to defer to you. I
Okay.
don't watch a lot of movies. I have to look at what other than Batman he was in. So maybe I've seen it, maybe I haven't.
You're
Top
so
Gun,
uncultured.
Willow, Jackal.
Heat. My favorite Val Kilmer movie. It's actually got an all-star cast. It's Tombstone. I'll be your
Oh,
Huckleberry.
oh.
That's a good choice there. That's a good choice.
It was the first, when I found out that he died, it was the first movie I thought of, and I just, ah, he was, the way he moved in that role specifically, it was just beautiful.
It
Yeah, I'm
reminds me, thinking about it, it reminds me a little bit of Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it,
I'm gonna have to agree on that with Tombstone. I don't watch a lot of westerns. I don't watch a lot of movies, period. But I do remember that, and I very much remember enjoying it. All right, there's our moment of remembrance. Let's get
I
into those spoilers.
I wanted to say that one of my favorite things about Tombstone was specifically Doc Holliday's relationship to Wyatt Earp in the movie. I don't know how much credence is offered or at all true for with respect to an actual in real life friendship between those two characters. I've never actually investigated the history, but in the movie, it was just so touching the way Doc Holliday expressed to Wyatt that he was his only friend. And that's why no matter what was going on, no matter who the enemy was, he would be there.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Brotherly love.
Unlike what happens on this podcast.
That's right. We all hate each other
Clearly. Clearly.
in the most naked way possible.
Well, of course. Robert, you're off camera. Was that intended? Are you
Yeah,
still
it's
with us?
inappropriate to masturbate on camera.
Do do. I hear the audio. Maybe you had to get up. I don't know. That's right. We'll talk. We will
Let's talk.
talk because we're good at that. Oh, there was a message that he sent. I didn't see it. Ah, a certain river dog needed his assistance. All right, so let's talk about spoilers. Although we can also edit this out. That's more work for Robert, but I'm okay doing making him do work.
Let's do it.
There he is.
I'm the only one here, and I had to let River out.
That's okay. We just didn't see the chat message go through.
No
So,
She's a
worries.
good girl.
but that's okay. Edits are a thing. So, it just means more work for you because then you have to go clip the thing.
I do. I have to clip the thing.
Yep. Which if we look at the program and you show me how to do it, I'm sure it's really easy. But
It's
like,
not too difficult.
yeah. All right. So after that moment of silence, let's talk about spoilers. Legends of the Force. What do we know about this? Well, looks like it's slated for a July 11th release. I was thinking that it seems like we're already in the spoiler season and it seems really early, but
It
I
seems
mean that's
super early. The JTL is out less than a month,
yeah.
and we're already seeing stuff from FFG.
I don't know. We kind of had an idea of maybe why that was happening earlier. I think we'll get into that with the meta update, but maybe we're trying to distract from the current meta, which is a little lopsided right now. And by a little lopsided, I mean a lot lopsided.
Well, it was funny in the
Uh,
cast.
s-
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go for it.
It was funny when I was listening to the cast. I they're not listening, so it probably won't matter. But I apologize anyway for the unintended
Hi,
disrespect.
Mom.
I don't remember who the personality was, but he came out of his maternity leave to do the cast, and I was like, wow,
Uh,
Django really is pulling some strings.
yeah, I think his name is Joe. If I remember, he was on the right hand side from our perspective.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like Joe's being a better dad than Django was. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah. All right. All
Congratulations,
right.
Joe.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't pass that one up.
Good.
So what else? What else do we know about Legends of Force? Legal, it's going to be legal for the Galactic Championship, which happens what, a week after it gets released? 2 weeks?
The Galactic Championship is July 25th through the 27th. So 3 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. So
Two.
we get 2 weeks to test the meta for.
You're going to have more than 2 weeks to test. The whole set will be spoiled with plenty of time. You're going to have 2 weeks to gather all the fucking cards you need.
Thank you.
Hit
That
me
was going to
up.
be my follow-up
That's the
point.
big concern.
Yep.
Hit me up.
Holy shit.
Well, first of all, I have to even have a sense of what cards I'm going to need, which may
Yeah.
not. Like I thought I was gonna take Vader to the Galactic Championships. Apparently, that was an ignorant thing to think. And then as I played more Vader, I was like, ah, this is untenable. I need to switch. So started looking at Boba, and I'm having more fun with Boba, more success rather. It seems to be closer to
Hmm.
50-50 um, against things that should be winning, like the Cad Blues and Quinlan is still a tough cookie to crack, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Not
So
a
what do
lot
we
of
know?
time to prepare.
We
No,
know that
no, there's not.
we have one new mechanic, which is the Force is with me, which is your Force token. Uh, and this is generated in any number of ways, including every common base has a trait that lets you generate a Force token when you attack. And there's a common base for every color, and they're all 28 HP. And then the new trait keyword, I mixed them
Keyword.
up. Keyword is called hidden. There it is. It cannot be attacked in the turn it was played, unless it somehow gains Sentinel, like it says there. So it's like one of the
Stealth.
Sabine cards.
Oh, like when this, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of this kind of mechanic in CCGs.
Yeah.
Stealth, hidden, whatever.
Whatever.
Just can't be attacked.
I get to
Shroud.
exist for a turn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Which I
because
think
it's
is good for the game. Uh, However, there is a note that was made about indirect damage doesn't matter, and being attacked doesn't stop you from, oh, well, I ping you with this card. It just
Yeah.
keeps you from swinging into it.
Um,
Yeah.
if you have something like um, Squadron Y Wing or Y Wing Squadron, where it says on attack deal 2 damage to an enemy unit, if
Yep.
there's one enemy unit, there it is.
And doesn't even have to be one enemy unit. It can just be the one that you want to do 2 damage to. There's nothing preventing that.
Yep.
At
makes
least
sense.
from what we know, if they misworded it on the website or something, that could be. But yeah.
We saw it on the card. It's the same as on the website.
Okay.
So
Bleh.
Hidden also does not prevent you from events or protect you from events,
yep,
Yeah.
except attack.
Yep. Only swinging in. Yeah.
Grenade strike.
which I'm actually happy about because then hidden actually has some sort of limitation, just like
It's got
uh,
firefight to it.
ambush can't attack bases, right? Ambush is still a really valuable keyword, but there is a
Uh-huh.
drawback to it.
Uh, and the card they spoiled that showed us hidden was Anakin, which I thought was funny.
Right.
Yep. 1-1 for one. Hidden
One one
shielded.
one.
He's just a force generator. That's
And
all he
so
is.
it's interesting because all those things that we were talking about, with the exception of indirect damage, hidden shielded solves all those problems.
Or you have to ping him twice, which is also doable, but it's harder. Yeah.
Yeah, but and then there's the question of resources, right? Do I want to ping?
Is it worth?
Yeah, how 2, 3 events into this stupid 1-1-1? Maybe. Does it disrupt the combo enough?
I think it depends on how strong the force is as a mechanic.
Uh,
With the cards that has been spoiled,
the,
it looks like a garbage mechanic to me.
the force
But
is everywhere. It surrounds all living things and binds the universe together.
but according to the common bases, you have to attack to get the force, to have it with you, which means that the force in this game is inherently part of the dark side because it comes from anger and aggression.
The
Just
best
saying.
defense is a good offense, and the Jedi believe in defense.
I believe in something, all right. Is
Well, go take a look at Drain Essence.
that one of the ones that got spoiled?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is it up on SwooDB?
it is not. I looked before we started.
Okay.
They still have JTL spoiler link. I mean, Drain Essence, yeah, but this is a dark side card. That's very fitting.
I really
Thank
like this
you.
card. This card is
I mean,
dope.
Drain Essence, I wish it had some restore on it. Sorry, you were talking. Go ahead.
No, that's I like its cost. I like that it's in vigilance and villainy. The art is iconic to the scene,
The art
and
is great.
yep,
Hmm.
it's awesome. And uh yeah, it seems appropriate. Two for two damage to a unit. It's not limited to ground or space, and it gets you the force token. So it primes you for your next force ability, whatever that is.
Hmm.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
like it a lot.
And I do hope that there's going to be lots of ways to generate the force like this that are not just you attacking from your base.
That would be
Have
fun.
they actually spoiled the text on one of those bases? I saw where it was very
Yeah.
blurry.
Yes, it basically says when you attack with a unit, gain the forces with me or
Okay,
whatever.
anytime, not just once per turn.
Well,
I
it specifically says when a friendly force unit attacks.
Okay.
and that makes sense. And they also said that every leader has the force keyword, even if they're not necessarily a force user,
Got it.
which I'd be interested to see who they picked for that who's not a force user. I would be curious to see who those people might be.
Well, it may be somebody that's force sensitive, like
Sure.
Finn.
True.
Sure.
Finn, they have said, is force sensitive, but he is not a force user.
Chirrut, another
That
good
seems like a
example.
fitting. Uh, but I'm worried about the force and having cards that are blank or having a massive downside, like Darth Sidious is an 8 cost, 6/8 with restore 2, unless you have the force. Savage is a 6 cost 9/6, that's pretty strong with overwhelm. And unless you use the force token, you're going to punch yourself for 9? That's rough. That's
That's
a
rough.
major downside for not having that mechanic.
On the other hand, she's cheap for her stat line. 6 for 9
Hmm.
6. And I feel now that we're thinking about this, now that we're talking about this, uh, aggression, villainy should feel dangerous to play.
That's fair.
It should feel like if I don't do this right, I blow my own shit up because I can't think of a more classically thematic dark side aspect than aggression villainy,
Hmm.
especially for a set like this, right? Because we're not talking about the Empire or anything like that. No, we're specifically talking about in Legends, we're talking about the Force. And
Right.
Dark Side Force is very cannibalistic.
Very, very
Yes.
much so.
Well, this card is scary just because let's say you burn the force token to spare you the 9 damage, and then super laser blast.
It
Cool.
also means you can't use him to attack into something and die from it because you're going to use the force token to prevent the 9 damage, and then you're going to die, and then you're going to take 9 damage anyway.
That's true. Also, because he's 6 cost, every time you see a 6 cost card, what's the first base you think about?
ECO.
ACL. Yep. So
Ambush
Savage.
Overwhelm 9. Boom.
Yeah, dude, that could be game ending.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, cool. You got 1 hit point on that chub there? Sweet. You're how many points from dead? 8? Ah, good game.
Yeah.
Good game.
And
No, so
so,
as a finisher, this is beautiful. Also, if you have the 9 damage to gamble on your base,
Right. Oh, and this is when played. I thought this is was when attacked. So when played and when defeated, that's better than I was thinking it was.
what's Darth Maul's saber text? So Darth Maul's saber is +4 +2 for 3.
Hmm. If attached unit is Darth Maul, so it only turns on for Darth Maul, you may attack with him. For this attack, he gains Overwhelm and the can't attack bases.
that's incredible.
Something else they spoiled was lightsabers for every color. Uh, I assume that means a lightsaber set specific for villainy and a lightsaber set specific for heroism. I will. That's what I will choose to believe. And as the resident force monkey, I am very excited.
It,
Lightsabers everywhere.
it's gonna be awesome. They also said
Grievous is
that
very happy.
they also
Dude.
said that all of these cards spoiled are in the spotlight decks.
Like, and those were the two leaders. We had Qui-Gon and we have Darth Maul for our spotlights this time, which honestly, beautiful.
Appro
Fucking fantastic.
appropriate. Appropriate.
But do you
It,
only get half the box when you get the Qui-Gon
you're
box?
you're a son of a bitch, you know that?
Too soon.
Ah, it will never have enough time.
You
You're
have
welcome.
you have no love and no friends.
You
I
know what?
am aware
Wait,
of both of those things.
we're out.
Thank you, everybody. That's the end of the podcast permanently.
uh,
Bye-bye.
I based on our spoilers, which is nothing, right? There's going to be
Yeah.
200 something cards in the set. Based on our spoilers, this is nothing. I see a marked improvement in faces. That Obi-Wan face, that's good stuff. That's good stuff on Obi-Wan.
Uh-huh.
Well, even Anakin.
Anakin's probably the weakest of them, I would say, of the named characters. Like you're trying to elicit a character, but it's still very stylized, and it's also got a little bit of, I like that little bit of dark shading, like foreshadowing on the, even though it's a light side card and blah blah blah, and it's Annie, it's still got that little bit of, yeah,
And
I like it. I
Qui-Gon
like it.
Qui-Gon really looks like Liam Neeson. Oh my goodness.
Oh God, this art like photograph of Liam Neeson.
Like a
Well,
jacked Liam Neeson, right?
do you guys remember the episode 2 movie poster?
It's been 20 years since the episode 2 movie poster, sir.
Okay. So I'll link it in the chat so you guys can see it. But basically, it's Anakin with one of those little Tatooine sand houses behind him, but the shadow is Darth Vader.
Oh, I've seen that promo.
And that was one of the movie posters. And if you can pull it up, Chris, I mean, it's
Yeah.
the foreshadowing, even in just that, was just so good, so good. And so seeing them include that sort of thing in the art, all about, all about it.
Was that episode 2 or episode 1? Or I'm
Episode
sorry,
1.
episode
One? No, you're right. One.
I think it was episode
Episode
1.
1/4, depending on how you look at
Oh,
it.
right. You see the silhouette of Vader on the side of the wall in the desert.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's
that elicits a lot of emotion.
it does.
It does. Most of the time, doing prequels is hard because
Wait,
you already know what the outcome is.
do you think we'll get this
But
card?
sometimes you can play with those. Think we'll get this card? An event, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. We already have the Anakin card, so I don't think we're going to get it as in the Anakin card.
I'd like to point out that this is what the second child Anakin card we have. I think Anakin may be
In
in
two
the
sets now.
yeah, I think Anakin may be in the top 5 for most unique for most cards for a unique character.
And he is kind of the poster boy.
I mean, he is pretty integral to the series.
Okay, what character or series of the same person has been in more Star Wars movies? Anakin Skywalker was
Mouse
either
Droid.
Darth Vader.
Mouse Droid. Speaking of which, I would love to see Mouse Droid as like uh, a 001 villainy drop. That would be
That
cool.
would be amazing. I agree. I agree. With some like flavor like tech on it. Draw a card.
Because we know that 0 drop resource cards are now a thing. Fucking porgs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know why we get porgs before we get mouse droids, right?
So that we
Because
can eat
they
them.
Uh,
clickbait
it's
hate.
mouse. It was created by the mouse, and the mouse is currently in control. The
I mean, I suppose, but like the fact that they spoiled. I saw this comment on Reddit, and Reddit being what it is, but I happen to agree with it. You called the set Legends of the Force, and your two new revealed cards are Porgs and Space Whales. Really?
well,
Really?
space whales are integral to the Force or something from the I don't know. I didn't watch Rebels all the way through to space whales. I saw Ahsoka and was lost.
Um,
I don't know.
and although they did mention that Force creature space, obviously because space whales is a thing, right? And so we will have units in space that are not vehicles, but not people. So like, yeah. But like the example used in
Organic
the
space things.
yeah, and the example used in the cast was, do you want to put a hot shot DL-44 on a space whale? Yes, yes, I do.
Because you can.
You know
Where are
what?
you going to put it?
I want to put a
In the
hot shot
blowhole?
on a pork.
That's that's just no.
Can you
No,
imagine
sir.
winning a game that way? It's like dying. It's like dying in vanilla WoW to a gnome with a pink mohawk.
A naked gnome with a pink mohawk. Yes. Yep. All right. Any other Legend of the Force spoilers? I mean, we don't know much yet, so it's
Uh,
got nice art
did
so far.
so
Definitely
far,
approve.
did
Go for
we,
it.
did one of you point out already that every leader in Legends of the Forest will have the Force trait?
I yes, we
Okay.
did.
Yep. And we were commenting on what because they did say that they wouldn't all be Jedi, but what Force sensitive character might be non-Jedi, thinking Finn. That was my thought
Specifically, they
there.
said not all leaders will be force users, but they will have force keyword.
There we go.
Oh, and
There is one more thing. Go ahead.
oh, I was also going to say one more thing. It's an aesthetic thing, is Force users will have watermarks on them in the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
background of the text of their leader side, leader unit side.
On all of them, you can see it on Opress too.
Interesting.
It's so you see the watermark in the background. You see it on
Hmm.
on Darth Sidious, and then it's much more clear on Darth Maul.
Yeah.
That's the
Less
Force.
text.
Yeah, that's the Force token icon thing. Like Sentinel is a red box. To be fair, I'd never noticed Sentinel was a red box before, so I don't know how useful this is.
I didn't think that all of them were red boxes. I thought I'd seen some that weren't. But yeah,
Being something they're moving towards, they decided it was a good idea in like set two or three.
that's fair.
Interesting. Um,
I do like the visual design. I think that this might be a little subtle
yes, it's
for
not
that visual
super
cue.
obvious. I think that something that might have been a better idea would have been an icon underneath the resource cost, maybe. Mm.
Or associated with the name.
Because then it wouldn't be taking up. Because the issue with the watermark on the text is you can't have it be too much because then you can't read the freaking text.
Right, right.
I had one more thing if we're ready to move past this, but my last thing deals with Legends of the Force.
Go for it.
If you would click on the little link on the side that says Set 5 Legends of the Force, scroll down, keep scrolling.
Pretty sure this is what we were on.
Oh, we'll keep scrolling all the way to the. Well, poop. Okay. Um, so in in one of the spoiler things I looked at today, and in the video, it shows some art, just some static art. And one of the static art things they show is like a standoff scene between Ahsoka and Baylan Skoll, and there's some other folks in the foreground with them. And I am choosing to believe that that means a couple of things. One, we're getting another Ahsoka card. Fuck yes. Two, we're getting a Baylan Skoll card. Fuck yes. That's what I'm choosing to believe.
He was the best part of Ahsoka.
Hands down. And rest in peace to that actor as well.
Yes, very much so.
He was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic.
Agreed. All right, so moving on then. Looking at meta. We've had some PQs go the last couple weeks, and it's a little bit of Jango and a little bit of Jango and a lot of more Jango with some Tarkin Town thrown in. How are we feeling about this spread here, my gentlemen?
My feeling
I'll
is
let
in.
go for it, buddy.
I was gonna say my feeling is in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. That that
Well,
Okay,
that
I can't see the chat from here, so because I'm screen sharing like a responsible host.
like a responsible host. Okay, so Django. Well, when I first, it's no secret to anybody by now who's even remotely paying attention to this game. In the top eight at the Milan um, sectors event,
PQ sector.
yeah, they seven of the top eight were Django's, and I can't remember exactly, but I think 45% of the field was Django's, and it was a
26.
26, sorry. 26%, the
Mm-hmm.
45 must be a different stat related to the event, but 26% of 500. So that's just over 120 Django's. That's incredible.
145.
145.
145. I've got their infographic up on
Oh,
the screen.
beautiful.
Good. It's a good graphic.
145 Jango Fetts.
Yeah, go ahead and break that down.
Holy shit.
And so the fact that it was 26% of the field and it took 90% of the top 8. The top 8, mind you, what's the top 20? Top 20.
Their version does not have that breakdown. I do remember seeing, but the top 20 was like 18 Jangos or something like that. Top 8 was 7 Jangos and 1 Piet. I do remember that.
I think there was in 13th place, there was a Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But goddamn,
And
like
so what that means, according to the numbers, because over 500 players is enough to draw some statistical thoughts from. It's not a small, it is a reasonable sampling size from a scientific point of view. That means that this card is so good that it wins 90% of the time, essentially. And I'm not good at math, and so someone will correct me, I'm sure, if not that anybody watches. But the fact that it
hi
was
mom.
a quarter of the field and it took 18 out of the top 20 is problematic at best. At best. Does anybody recall what the Django percentage was before JTL? Like the last big event, what was Django?
I
No,
think
I'd have to pull up.
when we covered it before, I think he was over 30% of the field.
I don't know. Does the competitive hub have an answer for us?
I bet it does.
I will bet it does too. I don't spend a lot of time on this website, so I might be clicking around a little bit, but let's go over here. Tournament results.
And so, to be clear, I am only interested in results from that have over 100 players. Less than that, and
Mm,
it's not really enough. Uh,
yeah, we can't filter it. We can sort it, but we can't filter it.
so the last planetary qualifier before Milan was in Portland in January, and so it's Han, Django Tarkin, Django Tarkin, Django Tarkin, Han Yellow, uh, Boss Green, Django Blue, Cad Tarkin. So Django Tarkin was second, third, and fourth before JTL, and JTL specifically with a couple of cards, War Juggernaut, knocked him up. War Juggernaut, TDR, Tarkin Town, Django is a nasty combination.
IG
And
2000.
the IG 2000, right? I enter the room and I deal damage to everybody, and now everything is exhausted.
Hmm.
And the other thing to note about Django, and I brought this up earlier and when we were talking, is that he is the only leader who functions that way. He has no resource cost associated with his ability, nor do we have to exhaust him. Every other leader who impacts a unit that way, every single one, requires resource and or exhausting.
Exhaust. Hmm.
And the only ones who don't do this are
Well,
Hera.
he exhausts when he's on his leader side. Before he flips, he does exhaust.
You may exhaust this leader, yeah. But then on the other side,
It's
Right,
unlimited.
so you do have to exhaust him to exhaust the enemy unit. That's fine. But yeah, the this is the side that is the problem. Agreed.
and his deploy cost is 5.
Yep. He comes out quick.
He comes down the turn before all of the big board sit downs come out. The War Juggernaut on 6 was a godsend for
Yeah,
him.
that's because of TDR. And even without it, I mean, he'd probably survive the next turn into it anyway.
So I mean,
Hmm.
you can say that the
Seven
problem
health.
is Django, or another way of looking at it is the problem is the tools that he has, because they help him to a higher degree than anyone else
Hmm.
because of his ability. Like what I don't like what's upsetting about the results isn't just the results' sake. It's also upsetting because I don't want to see leaders get banned. I don't like that. Uh, I
No,
understand that
Agreed.
crappy.
I understand that restricting them comes with good reason usually, right? So Boba got restricted for good reasons because it was creating a negative play experience in not just the competitive environment, but even the casual environment. Um, and a character like this, like a Boba, like Jango, probably probably should be restricted and reserved for Twin Suns play only. As painful as it is to say that, because again, I don't like I don't when people start calling for bans and restrictions. It's irritating because it's like, well, it's just one event, right? Give the community some respect. Have a little faith in people's ability to adapt. Like already, I've seen
Hmm.
uh, several, a couple handfuls of decks that I think will stand to Django. Um, my Boba is at least uh 50-50 with Boba. Like it shares parity in victories and losses. And I think a lot of it, so going back to tools, a lot of it has to do with the color, right? The the access to board manipulation and um, indirect damage out of yellow and then red is tremendous.
I I agree. I think it is his tools and the tools that he gets out of red. specifically, the ability to ping multiple things for one damage. You don't even care that it does one damage. You just have to do one damage to turn him on. Like
Mhm.
he'd be happy just I look at you and you sit. I look at you and you sit. The one damage is meaningless. You're not trying to kill it. You just want to win the game at that point.
And
I do think that it's his tools. Like his tools got way, way too many uh or way too many new tools.
and so like War Juggernaut in specific with TDR, and this is just a rehash of the conversation, but now we're sharing it for the people, right? I summon this unit, I play this unit ready, I ping everything on the board. Now you're all exhausted, which means your turn is basically done. I will attack with whoever I want to attack with. I will attack with War Juggernaut. Then War Juggernaut will come back into my hand, and I can hypothetically do it again next turn because the one action you're going to get before I play War Juggernaut, are you going to be able to kill Jango after I just exhausted everything? And now you probably maybe, but this is happening on turn 5. This is happening on turn 5 and 6. That's rough.
It's very rough.
Yep. And it very much changes the play. So I was playing Django against PJ, doing some testing with him, throwing Django at him because it is the deck right now, and you completely change the way you play when he flips. You play around having the War Juggernaut. You play around having the TDR to pull the War Juggernaut. You pull around IG 2000. There were several times that I claimed on full resources because I needed to make sure to go first next round, and then I just won. I won out from there.
Hmm.
And so the psyops is a fun part of the game,
Hmm.
absolutely. And so psyops should be coming, in my mind, psyops should come from yellow and blue. Those are what they should be playing psyops with you.
Yep.
But we it feels cheap. It doesn't feel good. Denying everything for your opponent is, I mean, I'm sure there are some people who will disagree, and I would say that they probably have a bit of maturation to do. Not letting your opponent play the game isn't fun.
Correct.
It's not fun.
I mean, I
Uh,
like playing control. I'm a control player, but you're playing control out of an aggression deck that should be playing weenie rush type stuff,
And it's
and
cheaper.
it's cheaper. And I think that's the problem is the tools are all cheap. Red, I shouldn't be playing control. I should be throwing just massive amounts of bodies at you trying to go faster than you. But no, I'm actually controlling you.
I want to point out though that it wasn't like all the diversity of leaders in the top eights throughout the PQs in the last season was really healthy for the game and exciting, but also the there were certain themes and packages of cards in those decks that are also not fun to play against. I ca- Case in point, Quinlan, and it's less about Quinlan and it's mostly about cunning heroism. Cunning heroism is infuriating to me more so than Django, and I'm saying that ignorantly because I haven't been to a tournament getting my ass handed to me by Django. But my problem is things that target your hand and things that steal cards away from you. I really I really dislike how many effects are available like that in just one color right now. And I, for the same reasons that nobody wants Django losing his disproportionately succeeding at tournaments, I I hope they keep a careful eye on effects that target people's hands because nothing feels worse. It's bad enough when I play something I like and it dies. Nothing feels worse than someone saying, "Let me look at your hand. Okay, discard that."
Especially if it happens on turn 1 or turn 2, because that can really impact whatever plan you were building on.
Well, it does significantly.
Hello, Force Throw.
Not just force throw.
Azine.
There's force throw. There's
All sorts
Kira. Um, uh, Spark of the Rebellion. If you're playing
So,
red, there's pillage. Um, because Tarkin Town is popular out of Quinlan. Quinlan can easily run 18. No, 22. 22. No, no, that doesn't work out. 21. So 21. So seven play sets. There are seven play sets of cards that are taxes on the hand in some way, just out of cunning, heroism, and aggression. That's almost half of a
so,
deck if you wanted to.
so an interesting point is kind of being made between what you're talking about with hand aggression and these kind of oppressive decks that we have seen in the last few major tournaments. The feels bad man moments that seem to be happening a lot. I mean, Magic has always had mill decks, the black blue that don't let you do anything. We've played those decks. We played them in L5R. The faceless decks were frustrating because you couldn't do anything because they didn't have any targets for your entire hand was dead. But these were like single decks that you would face in a pretty wide field, and they usually weren't very popular. The popular decks in SWU seem to be these feel bad man decks.
And is part of that because of the shallowness of the pool, right? And I say that, and there's like 60 freaking leaders to choose from, but we can wipe 10 or 15 off of competitive play just because that's not like all the token creation leaders, they don't work very well, nuke gunray, et cetera, et cetera. And so is that part of the problem? Is that one, we only have it's a hero based game and it is a color based hero game. So if I like a certain theme, my field of 60 has shrunk to 5 or 6. Do you think that it's just the depth of the pool?
I I don't myself because you're always going to have a lack of depth when you hit a rotation of sets or
Fair.
anything like that.
Fair.
You're always going to be limited. Like you're never going to have thousands and thousands of cards because that's just poor design choice when it comes to competitive scene. I think it's just the power level of those cards and the speed at which this game is played really lends itself into choking out your opponent's options.
I would I I would
Go ahead.
agree with Robert to the degree that it is something to do with the pool, but it's not because of the number of cards we do or don't have access to. It's because of design. It's not that these are the only cards you have, it's that these are the cards that were designed for you. So like this is and
Mhm.
what I'm actually trying to Steelman um Star Wars Unlimited design. I think that this game is still very much in its infancy.
It is.
And
It is.
so they're working out the
This is
kinks,
what, year
the
two?
huh?
This is year two?
Yep, this is year
Yep.
two. And I think they're still working out like the balance of how heroes with colors is going to shake up. And especially like that really great article that you sent us earlier, Robert, that um, it was a really really good write up about what the vision of the design team versus the reality on the ground meta.
Hmm.
So design team has all
And
of these beautiful concepts and great collages of ideas, and they want to bring certain interactions and canon together, and uh, we're down with all that. But there is a striking, or what seems to be an obvious miss taking place in playtest. Would you agree?
I would, and I would say that based on the spoilers we saw today, I am hopeful that it is trending in a more positive direction. That Obi-Wan Kenobi card, if I'm remembering, was a 335 green heroism with Sentinel. 335 Sentinel.
Yeah.
They in one of the other interviews we saw, they talked specifically about how that they had erred too cautiously on units, that they were too conservative with the power curve of units, and that people want awesome unique heroes to feel like awesome unique heroes. And so with that, I'm hopeful that we will see more things like that, right? Like 335 green, that's amazing. That's so plus Sentinel, that's so good.
Yes, it
That's
is.
so good.
Yeah, it might actually
And so
survive.
I'm exactly. And
And
so
it's a
I'm
force
hoping that we'll
user.
see so I'm hoping we'll see more of that. Like the 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 fantasy of green is I make dudes and I buff them and therefore they live and they become powerful and if you can't stop me, I smoosh you. And the game is so fast that green doesn't have a chance to grow. Ha
Hmm.
ha ha. And so I'm hopeful. Based on what we saw today, I noticed stat lines seem to be increased, unit stat lines seem to be increased, and specifically unique cards are going to be more powerful than common cards of the same resource cost, which makes sense because they're unique. You can only have one out at a time. I think that is inherently balanced by itself the way that works.
Yep. You do expect Obi-Wan to be a little bit more powerful than Jedi Bob,
Hey man, Bob is trying, okay? Bob is trying.
just like you. You are very trying.
Thank you. Thank you.
We had one other card that we wanted to kind of cover in the meta update, and that's Tarkin Town. That seems to be really popular out of a lot of decks. How much do we think that's the problem?
Well, it's not,
All eyes
right?
on TJ.
It's not. Whoa, doggos. It would be unfair and untrue, I think, to say that Tarkin Town is the problem with Jango. I think Tarkin Town is just a problem. All you got to do is look at the distribution of leaders in aggression that are succeeding at events. You go look at aggression PQ top eights, you will see a marked difference in the
Mhm.
bases. Most of them will be Tarkin Town, and that's fine. Tarkin Town is good and competitive, but what Tarkin Town offers, what am I trying to say? It's a loaded gun from the very beginning of the game. It's not like any of the other bases that offer some sort of trade-off, health for a stat or a bigger deck size with more health or a smaller deck size with less health. You get the idea, right?
Mhm.
Static exchanges make sense, but when it comes to Tarkin Town, it's a different type of exchange. You're not exchanging st stats, you're exchanging actual damage in play. And it's like Robert was talking about. The game goes pretty fast. Like the average game of SWU is what, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
That's pretty quick. You can crush easily 6 to 10 games of SWU in an hour. And I'm not here to say that that's neither good nor bad. I'm just saying that in a game that is already fast, you offer one color the ability to just crush wounded units from the jump. And if I played enough online to notice the consistent way that people use Tarkin Town. It especially with leaders like Quinlan, turn one, I play a 2-drop unit. Quinlan plays a 2-drop unit, then wounds my unit, and then kills that unit with Tarkentown. No matter what it is. It's a
Yep.
guaranteed turn one death, and now you're already behind in the parity. And that is
It
not an
offer
insignificant thing. What?
it offers tempo, and I think it offers early tempo. I was trying to rack my brain with any of the other rare bases that offer something similar. The closest you can get close, is ECL, but ECL doesn't turn on until turn five, turn six.
No, you can you I've ECL'd a super laser technician before.
just because you wanted the
Okay,
ramp.
okay, but how often do you see that? How often do you see that?
Right.
Not
You
very.
would prefer to use ECL on turn 3, 4, or 5 because that's when you're looking toward ending the game. But it ECL has a lot of advantages in that, well, I think ECL is a better trade-off, right? You have to spend physical resources to play the unit. You take a 5 hit point hit from the standard 30,
Mhm.
and what you get is the ability to create an ambushing unit. And you can do that across the entire spectrum of units up to 6 cost. I like that. I like that because there's a very clear disadvantage to this base that also is situational. Tarkentown is not the same. But I think you're
Yep.
right. ACL is the closest second, which is probably why you also see ECL in a lot of competitive lists.
I want to point out the what I view as the inherent silliness in a statement you made, which is on turn 3, 4, or 5, you're looking to end the game. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I am saying that from a I'd like to play a game standpoint, that's silly, right? The fact that it takes 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to play a hand of SWU, come on. I'm not saying I want hour-long matches, but like I think that this is a distinct disadvantage for green and blue.
Mhm.
They come out late, but nothing gets the chance to grow. Nothing gets the chance to grow. And so we miss a lot of the fantasy of Star Wars, right? What's the fantasy of Star Wars? Epic space battles with tons of units and blah blah blah, or epic lightsaber duels with powerful characters doing cool shit. That requires the game to last past turn 5, which
Right.
often does not happen.
Right.
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
it would be
it's
healthier for the game if the tempo was slowed down by like 20% or more, and other colors were given some love. Yellow has a lot of love right now, and I'd like to see other colors get love.
Green and blue need some love. Green and blue need some serious love.
I would also like to see them increase the number of heroism and villainy cards within a particular color. So I don't know if you guys have looked at your collection lately, but I would say like aggression villainy is 1/5 of the total red cards.
Mhm.
I think that should be closer to a third. I think that there should be fewer single aspect cards. I think there should be more heroism and villainy cards for each color and less monocolor cards.
I think that they made that a choice, especially in the first set, and I hope that they go towards what you're saying, because it makes deck building easier. It makes it a little bit more straightforward. So as the game matures, I think that we will probably see that a little bit more. And that's one of the things we saw in that article a month ago.
And I think going that way will provide more flavor and more thematic type of decks. And
I
we're
do not
playing a very
disagree.
thematic. Star Wars has very, very broad strokes of good versus evil, and I want that reflected in my gameplay.
And you know,
And
the thing about Tarkin Town, and I'll stop belaboring the point after this. It's my gripe is very specific. That I don't really complain about mechanics or aspects of card games unless it is a very specific feel bad. TDR into the plethora of awesome vehicular horrors that you can fish for is toxic. It's not good for the game. Tarkin Town, the ability to just completely shut down early game tempo and strategy with a loaded gun is toxic. It's not healthy for the game. Um, so TDR, Tarkin Town, and discard, hate. Things that attack the hand and things that tax your
hand
hand.
hate.
Hand hate. These things are super feel bads. I don't like them in card games. I understand why they exist, but in a game that is this young, there's just too much of it, in my opinion.
Or if it's going to
Agreed.
be there needs to be more card draw, card generation.
Right. Like,
That is
okay,
part of
cool.
what makes the hand hate so powerful.
Give me a
Right. So,
counterplay.
yeah, what's the parity, right? Ramp is the closest thing, and TDR kind of gives you a way out, except that TDR itself is in yellow.
It's ramp. TDR is ramp.
That's true.
Sort of. But it's also tutor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of ramp and a little bit of tutor.
Tutor ramp. Anyway,
And it
I'll
makes
leave
me
that.
want to wear a fancy dress.
Yeah.
All right. We are just about an hour. Do we want to talk about hobby time or do we want to close things up?
I am open for both.
PJ, how you
Uh,
feeling?
I'd say fire at will. Let's go. Like we don't have to spend too much time on it. Start with Robert. How do you spend your hobby time?
Very poorly. Very poorly. Um, I would say that PJ and I are probably tied for most restricted hobby time, with each of our individual adult responsibilities being similar but unique.
Hmm.
Both full-time working parents, both with a child, a fairly young child in the house. Um, and so like where do I put my hobby time? I've got a full-time job, I've got a 2-year-old, I've got a wife, I've got dogs, I've got a podcast I'm doing now with my awesome friends. Um, and where do I put my hobby time? That's a great question. One of the reasons I was drawn to SWU was the barrier for entry is very low. The barrier for entry into SWU is very low. My other hobby was tabletop miniature games. The barrier for entry is huge,
Hmm.
astronomical in time, in money resources, in hobby space, in getting ready to play the game, just assembling and painting and prepping an army. Building an army itself can take you hours. Playing a game can take you hours. Finding like I have one of the most approachable nerd hobbies ever, and then I have one of the most unapproachable nerd hobbies ever. I was playing D&D once a week, and that fell off the table, which honestly left time for SWU. And if I went back to D&D, I may not have the limited time I have for SWU. On the other hand, as a mental health practitioner, as someone who battles depression off and on, taking care of yourself is so important. And that doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be that deep. It's stuff like getting enough sleep, making sure you're doing your ADLs, you're showering, you're grooming, clean clothes, laundry, talking to friends, spending time with loved ones, engaging in small, meaningful activities every day that bring you joy. But this doing like right now, for instance, doing this podcast right now means I'm not building my twin sons deck for tomorrow night. means I'm not folding laundry that's sitting in the laundry room right now, right? Means my wife just came home and I haven't said hello to her, right? Like it's all trades and you need to find a healthy balance for trading in your life.
Very true. Very true.
Kind of like SWO.
Swell.
Except trading in SWU is kind of all or nothing. You're killing it or you're not.
Facts.
Oh, and since we were going to talk about shame, um, if I made making and building and painting miniatures a full-time job, I could be employed for the next 4 months based on my current inventory.
With the painting, I think you got a little bit more than 4 months
I
building
didn't
and
say
painting.
they would be good paint jobs.
That's fair. That's fair. I go a little full ball sack on the
Sweaty
rank and fire.
spaghetti.
So, PJ, what I Robert kind of spoke for you, but how do you feel like he hit it on the head with your hobby time, your hobby life balance kind of thing?
Yeah, we are in different places, but in similar situations. I spend my hobby time mostly playing card games and occasionally playing board games with my friends. For example, Tangent's coming over for the weekend, and we're gonna play Kingdom Death Monster and cry deeply together. Um, and
Lots
hope
and
and
lots of tears.
and hopefully have some snacks and some good camaraderie time. I'm actually really looking forward to it. And so the trade-off, it's like it's exactly as Robert said. There are trade-offs, and I work full time plus overtime and budget time for playing games. On Mondays, I go play Marvel Champions with another group of nerds, and on Thursdays, I go to SWU League with my son, and and then the weekends are pretty flex, where I often will work a few hours of overtime and then segue that into some kind of social engagement, either a play date for my kid or a play date for dad. And sometimes, if we're lucky, it's both things at once. I don't, I don't do a good job balancing chores and recreation. It is very easy for me because I have such a large group of friends and who are all so eager and encouraging to get me out of the house and come play a board game with them. It often means I'm not getting to my laundry or I'm not getting to a house chore that I should really be putting time and effort into. And it even takes away time from my son in little ways and time away from my wife. And she has, we share quite a few friends, but she also has her own group of friends that she often is neglected from because of time and distance. A lot of them live far away. So how do I spend my hobby time? When I can. Um, I uh, I think the thing I don't get enough of is sleep, and that's because I'm burning the candle on both at both ends usually. And then somewhere in there, I got to work out too. And then when I get to work, I'm important at work, so I have to like care about people at work, and but that has its own rewards. Its own trade-offs. And if I'm lucky, I can play a game of SWO on lunch because I got a couple people roped into it.
There you go.
Nice, nice.
How you
Uh,
do.
so I know they say don't mix work with pleasure, but um,
And
what
you're not putting your
hobby?
dick in that, so it's
No,
all good.
no, I don't need a SWO disease. What hobby shame do I have? Hmm, that's a tough one. It used to be Kickstarters. I used to be a sucker for just backing Kickstarter games. So I think my hobby shame is my board game wall. I have about 100 board games, and they range all over the map from engine builders to deck builders to miniatures games, Command and Conquer style games, um, dungeon crawls, etc. I think mostly card
That's not what
games.
your hobby name is.
What is my hobby, Shane?
You can't quit Warlord.
That might be true. I don't I have to concede to your point. Like I
The
am
original sin.
untested. I'm untested. When the Warlord drops in the market, I don't know what I will do. I don't know. I already avoided going ham on the Kickstarter, but can I avoid an official release? I guess it'll really depend on, honestly, where SWU is at the time. If it seems like the design is consistently failing me in SWU, I might jump ship. Or it could be the case that uh, I just become disenchanted with SWU for whatever reason, and I want to try something new. Like,
Yeah.
for sure, I will buy a starter deck and I will play the game just to have it. It might be something, what I would like it to be is something that I just enjoy on the side casually, not like I am in SWU, where I am very much a collector first.
Fair.
Fair. So my hobby time, I have a very different situation than both Robert and PJ do. I work from home. I am salary, so I work more than 40 hours a week. Um, right here, I'm on my computer that shares screens. I've got a KVM. I'm here a lot of the time. I have two kids, but they're both grown and doing adulty things. My granddaughter lives with us, but so do her parents, and I don't have to do childcare type things in the same way that these two assholes do. Uh, so it gives me actually a lot of hobby time, but that is a double-edged sword. My hobby time is primarily solo hobby time. It's part of why I paint fairly prolifically at this point and tend towards the miniature games more because I spend a lot of my hobby time solo. I live about an hour north of PJ, and just time being what it is, don't get to go down to play with friends that are there. I don't have really any friends that live in the same area that like to play games. My kids don't play games. My wife doesn't tend to play games. So I have this big old wall of plastic and cardboard and just game shit that just kind of sits here most of the time. So, every once in a while I'll get the hankering to play, and some of these, especially the co-op or dungeon crawl games, can be played solo. KDM can be played four-handed, and I have done that. But I've also learned that when I'm rolling dice against me, I only roll well if I'm rolling against me. So, yeah, my hobby shame is having too much time and not enough friends to play the game with locally. I
I'll
do
give it
have a
soap.
go.
Soap and water will help.
Soap and water will help. You were talking about those ADLs. I'll make sure to ADL a little bit more. I do have a local group that I play 40K with, but that's only every other week. It's a tiny little shop, and we don't have a lot of space to be able to play. So we get together every couple weeks to play 40K. And that'll be a subject for another matter. We're going to be running a demo here in a couple weeks, hopefully. So we'll be talking about demoing games and how to make that successful. Maybe before or after that demo to talk about what worked, what didn't.
We should talk about it before and
I
then do
agree.
a post brief.
I agree. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to uh, Playing games this weekend. I'm looking forward to going full DGen on Kingdom Death Monster this weekend with PJ and crying a lot.
Good.
Crying a lot. So, yeah, that's hobby time for the three of us. And is there anything else that you gentlemen, I use that term again very, very loosely, would like to discuss this fine evening before we
Um,
are done?
just in case, it's not likely. Likely, but a coworker of mine and I were talking today, and I mentioned to him that I had started a new hobby and had really helped with my mental. And he was like, "Oh, what is it?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, my partner loves Star Wars so much. What's the name of your podcast?" So, if you are my coworker's partner and you're watching our podcast, welcome aboard. Feedback is certainly welcome. Otherwise, hi mom, thanks for listening.
You are in great company with Mom. We do appreciate the company. Alrighty. Thank you for joining us this fine evening on the Moisture Farm podcast, brought to you by Han Solo's Chin. Have a good night, everybody, or morning, or day, or whatever the fuck time it is when you're listening to us. Probably on mute, so you didn't hear me anyway. It's okay. We love you anyway.
Also,
Bye
if we're
bye.
wrong about something, please tell us. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, you can try to tell us, but we're probably not going to listen or believe you. Bye.